This is the brand new Skechers SKX 1.5 Elite from the Electrum pack, and today we're going to review the boot. We're going to talk about how it's different to the previous SKX model and also how it's similar to a previous Nike model. And we're also going to talk about Skechers entering the football boot market as a whole. Welcome back to the Boot Perspective YouTube channel. We've got another boot review for you today, and today it's all about Skechers. For those that don't know, we recently signed with Skechers to be an official retailer of their boots, and massive thank you to Skechers New Zealand as well for hooking me up with the clothing. I've got this jacket, zipped up jacket, and also a t-shirt underneath, and they gave me a lot more as well. A few more t-shirts, some pants as well, so thank you to them. And yeah, today we've got the Skechers SKX 1.5 Elite from the Electrum pack, so let's get straight into it. Now, this is my first Skechers boot review, so I'm going to talk about Skechers entering the football boot market as a whole. And most people know Skechers, right? It's a well-known brand, but it's mainly known for their shoes, so from running shoes to even casual shoes as well. And for most of you, your parents probably wear Skechers. My mom wears Skechers, and that's how I first knew about the brand. So for Skechers to enter the football boot market, not only did they need to create a good product, which they have, but they also needed to take their marketing very seriously, and they needed to change the perception of the brand. I mean, you're going up against Nike and Adidas, who are two big players in the game, and the perception of the brand of Nike and Adidas is just different class, different gravy. So Skechers had to really make sure if they're going to go into this football boot game, one, they're going to have to accept that it's going to be a long-term thing, and two, they're going to have to really nail their marketing as well. So Skechers came out with two boots. One is these SKX, and the other one's the Razor, which we will cover in another boot review video. But the Razor is the speed boot, so similar to your Mercurial Vapor, for example, or the Adidas F50. The Skechers SKX is more of a control and power boot, so similar to your Nike Phantom GX or your Nike Tiempo or the Adidas Predator. It's just a very well-rounded boot. That's probably the best way I'd describe it, and it's great for wide feet people like me as well. Up till now, Skechers have actually done an incredible job with the marketing of the boots, especially over in the UK and the rest of Europe as well. Obviously, the star man for Skechers is Harry Kane, as most of you will know. And then they've also signed some other players like Anthony Elanga, Mohamed Kudus, Zinchenko, and then recently signing Isco as well. The Isco signing is something that was really fascinating. I actually noticed he was wearing the Skechers Razor well before they announced it, and so I was wondering what's going on there, and then they ended up announcing it. But Isco being someone who's basically, he's already a legend. He still plays football, but he's a football legend, an icon, you know, especially for his Real Madrid days. And so to have him part of Skechers, that's a huge marketing move from them. And so yeah, we're gonna get into this boot. So the first SKX model I ever got my hands on were these SKX 01. So this is the first model of the SKX that Skechers released. Now, the boot itself is actually really good, but this is the fascinating part, okay? So the first time I ever opened the box and looked at this boot, instantly I thought Nike Phantom GT. The main thing with the Phantom GT1 was the GT technology, the generative technology, okay? So what it is these grooves on the boot, these sort of lines on the boot that Nike had supposedly tracked how a player makes contact with the ball at the different parts of the boot, and they've made those little grooves angled towards that position. So when you look on the instep here, the grooves are facing one direction, then they sort of change direction and go the other way, and then on the outside, it's also in a different direction. And instantly you see that on the Skechers SKX. They've got those exact same grooves. Now, the grooves are all pointing in the same direction. So it's not like the Phantom GT where it's all in different directions. And you might be thinking, was that technology good, and why haven't Skechers done the same with angling the grooves? What I will say is Nike came out with the Phantom GT2 and they moved away from those angle grooves and they all went the same direction, and they even triangular grooves as well. So it's not a bad move from Skechers that they haven't made those grooves angled, if that makes sense. That's the first similarity between the SKX and the Phantom GT. Now, before going into the other similarities, as soon as I saw this similarity, I did some research straight away, and funnily enough, the rumor is that Skechers brought over some ex-Nike boot makers, so people who used to make Nike boots and the people that actually made the Phantom GT, and also worked on the technologies for the Vapor 12 and Vapor 14. So people that really know about boots and how to make good boots, Skechers brought them over and made them make this boot basically. And the thing is, it's not a bad thing, right? You've taken something that's worked and made it into another boot. So there's not really a bad thing, and I really don't have any problems with it. The other similarities you can see is the little heel tab on both boots, very similar. The tongue sticker as well, exactly the same. And then even the sole plate, right? Even the sole plate has an almost identical design, but There is one slight difference, which I'll touch on later in the video, which I actually really like. But you can see the main shape of it is very similar to both boots. And the Phantom GT, I probably had about 7 pairs in the span of like 2 to 3 years of the boot. And I really loved the Phantom GT. It was like the best fitting boot for my foot. And so I know a lot about this boot, right down to the point that this may sound really weird, but the smell of the Skechers SKX was exactly the same to the smell of the Phantom GTs. And I don't know what it is. Is it the technology, there's a smell, or what it is? But I promise you, the smell was exactly the same. So onto the Skechers SKX 1.5. Now, as I said, this one's the 01, this one's the 1.5. So it's not a new generation of the boot. It's more of like a, I guess you could call it like a mid-season upgrade. I don't know if mid-season is the right word, but it's just a little upgrade to the original boot. They've basically taken on board some feedback from their first ever boot and just quickly made some updates to it, and really good updates as well, if I'm being completely honest. In terms of color and design, that's one of the things they've upgraded with the 1.5 model. They've got these sort of lightning strikes. I like to call them lightning strikes. I'm not too sure if they actually are, but lightning strikes going right around the front to the middle of the boot. And they seem to have carried these on through the Skechers 1.5 models so far. And with the Electrum pack, it's a white and gold colorway. So you've got a white base with the gold lightning strikes. You've got the gold Skechers logo. And I really like this logo because if you look closely, it's actually got the SKX lettering on it. So that looks really nice. And then a shiny sole plate on the bottom, a gold sole plate. So looks wise, absolutely incredible. And to be fair to Skechers, up till now, I'd say 90% of the colorways they've brought out have been incredible. There's probably only like 1 or 2 that I didn't like. And again, that's personal preference. There were people out there that liked it. So in terms of colors and design, they've actually done a really good job with it. So in terms of the technology in the build, Skechers have got 3 main things that they're really pushing out, and especially on the SKX, the performance fit knit upper. That's just another variation of the knit material that you get on a lot of boots these days. So Nike are mainly known for this, where you've got used to have the fly knit, now you've got the grip knit as well on the Phantom GX and the Vapors. And so this is Skechers' version of that, the performance fit knit. And the good thing about it is that the knitted material goes right around the boot. So you get a fully knitted upper, which is really comfortable in my opinion. And the upper itself is very soft. And when you compare it to the previous model, it does seem like they have upgraded this performance fit knit material. People have said that it's softer and it's more premium as well. I do feel that it is softer. I can definitely feel that. In terms of whether it's more premium, I think they're both the same. They both do feel premium. So the second technology is called the PSC, the Precise Strike Control. And that's basically this textured material on the upper, which I said earlier was those little grooves that are very similar to the Nike Phantom GT. But Skechers have also got these lines that go on top of that, right around the boot, right across the boot as well. And they call it a mixture of micro and macro textures. And basically, anytime you get these sort of grooves or textures on the upper, it's to help your grip and control of the ball. I'll get into a little bit more detail about why or how the micro and macro textures help with the grip on the ball. But most of the time, it doesn't make a big difference. These sort of textures on the boot don't make a massive difference. If you've got a bad touch on the ball, you've got a bad touch. It's as simple as that. If you watch my previous boot reviews, you'll know that I'm not a big fan of boots which have got lots of grip on the upper. Like for example, the Adidas Predator 2024 model, there's a lot of grip on it. Whereas this, it's not too aggressive, but it's just nice. Now, before I get into the third technology, which is the Hyperburst Pro, I do want to talk about the tongue of the boot, which has been upgraded from the previous SKX 01 model. So with the Skechers SKX 01 model, you had a stretchy tongue material, but it wasn't as stretchy as the one on the 1.5. And to be honest, now that I felt the tongue on the 1.5, I really don't like the tongue on the 01 at all, whereas previously I didn't mind it at all. And so this one sort of feels, the 01 tongue feels like a very cloth type of material. It's hard to describe, but it definitely feels like there's a cloth sitting on there. Whereas on the 1.5 model, it's now definitely more stretchy, but also more breathable. And so I can already feel, I don't even have to put this on. I can already tell that it's going to be a lot more comfortable. Now, the Hyperburst Pro technology is basically what you're going to find in the insole of the boot. So, as I said earlier, Skechers is a well-known brand and they're mainly known for comfort. Their tagline is the Comfort Technology Company. So, when I heard they were bringing out boots, my main question was, can they make boots that are going to be comfortable as well? Obviously their shoes are really comfortable, but are their boots going to be comfortable? And the Skechers Hyperburst Pro is something that's really good. It's almost like a bit of memory foam on the insole, which you don't really get from a lot of other boot models, and it's not too thick. So when you wear sneakers, you're going to get a lot of comfort. You're going to get a lot of, probably a thicker insole. But with the football boots, this insole I think is the perfect thickness. So if I squeeze it, I can still feel that softness there. It's got a cushion to it as well. So when you put the boots on, it's going to be very comfortable. And for the marketing of the Electrum pack, Skechers made an ad with Harry Kane, and the whole point of the ad was marketing the comfort of the boots. It had Harry Kane playing a game, and after the game, his feet were completely fine, no pain at all. All the other players had pain in their foot. So Skechers are really marketing the comfort of the boots, as they should, because again, they're known for their comfort. Now, the outsole of the boot. So as I said earlier, very similar to the Nike Phantom GT. That top half is a very similar shape, and then you've got like almost like a bar going down the middle, and the back 4 studs very similar as well. Now, Skechers doesn't have those split studs that the Phantom GT has, but what I do want to talk about is the stud shape and also that bar in the middle. So the stud pattern as a whole, it's a multi-directional stud pattern, so it's going to help with traction and making those quick cuts and changes of direction. It's lightweight, it's snappy, it's stable as well, and so overall it's a really good sole plate. The main stud shapes we've got in here are these diamond shaped studs, and it's an FG boot, so obviously it's made for firm grounds, but you can get away with wearing it on AG, on artificial grass, because there's more surface area on the studs. So if you know about AG boots, you know that circular studs, conical studs are what you really want for AG and artificial grass surfaces, because it's going to reduce the pressure on your joints. And so with this boot, would I recommend wearing it on turf? No, but you can get away with it. It's a lot safer than the Razor, for example, or things like the Nike Mercurial Vapor, where you've got this bladed or chevron studs. This is not too bad. And Skechers are supposedly going to be bringing out AG boots, and I think they really need to. I don't know when, but I've heard that they are working on it and it's going to come out soon. And I think that's a huge market for them to tap into. Now, what I really want to talk about is this sort of frame, this line, this bar that goes right down the boot, the middle of your foot. The difference between the Phantom GT and the Skechers SKX is that this bar on the Phantom GT goes right on the outside of the foot, whereas on the Skechers SKX, it actually goes across the foot. And when I wore the Phantom GT, I never had a problem with it, but just by looking at it, I can tell that this could be an issue. Like, it doesn't provide as much comfort. There's still a frame inside that makes it firm even on this part of the boot, but it's not going to be as supportive just by looking at it. So on the Skechers boot, it actually goes right across the foot, which I think is a lot better. It's going to give you more stability, more support as well on your foot. And the interesting thing with the Phantom GT was that this instep stud would always be the first thing to tear or to split from the upper. And maybe that's to do with not having any support on this part of the boot. I don't know, but it's really good that Skechers have made that frame, that bar, going right across the boot. So they've also got the soft ground version, so the metal studs, and what I like about it is that you can unscrew the studs. It is the screw-in studs. You know, with Nike moving some of their boots towards those studs that can't be unscrewed and only the tip is metal, it's good to see that Skechers haven't gone anywhere near there. They've stuck with what people like, which is the screw-in studs. And the really fascinating thing is that on the soft ground versions, it's a carbon fiber sole plate, which you also find on the Razor boots. But on the firm ground version of the SKX, you don't have a carbon fiber sole plate. And I'm not too sure why they've done that. But the thing with the carbon fiber sole plate is that it's very strong, but very light. So they're able to create a strong sole plate, but still keep the boot really light. And the other thing, which is probably the main reason why people really like carbon fiber, is the energy return. So when you're pushing off the ground, for example, when you're sprinting or you're jumping, the plate can give a little snapback, so it'll help you feel more explosive. I mean, I could see why they put it on the Razor boot, because obviously it's a speed boot, it's meant to be sharp, meant to be for fast players. And it was surprising that they didn't put it on the SKX, but it also made sense because this is a more of a control and power boot. But then what didn't make sense is why they put it on the soft ground boot. So I guess that's something that I'll have to do a bit more research, or maybe, you know, someone could comment below if they know why. Now, in terms of the touch and the feel of the ball when you're wearing this boot, it's a very thin upper, it's a very light upper as well. So you'll definitely get a close feeling to the ball. And it's similar to the Nike Phantom GX or the Nike Vapors. And I really like the thin uppers. I like to get a close feel to the ball. So if you're the same, you will really like this upper. So in terms of the textures on the boot, that PSE technology, I mentioned earlier that you've got the micro and macro zones on the boots. The micro textured zones are supposed to help with passing and dribbling, and then the macro textured zones are supposed to help with shooting and striking of the ball. So again, if you're like me and you don't like to have too much of technology getting in the way of the touch and feel of the ball, then this is a really good boot because it's a thin upper with very minimal texture on the upper. Now in terms of fit, I was actually really impressed. As soon as I put the boot on, I could feel the comfort, and it's really good for wide feet. If you've got normal width feet, it's also good, but it's a good boot for wide feet as well. The Razor is a more narrow boot, and so if you've got wide feet, you wouldn't want to go for those. These fit really well. And if you compare it to the Nike Phantom GT, the GT was a more flat, longer boot, whereas the SKX is a bit more of a higher and I guess a more sturdy boot. It's more suited to the shape of a foot as well. And with the Phantom GT, you always had to go half a size down because of how long it was. But with the SKX, definitely stick true to your size. In terms of the heel, you do get a lot of good lockdown, but there's one thing which I don't really like, and that's this sort of sock material that goes around the boot. I like my boots to be really tight around my ankle, or at least to sit nicely on my ankle. What you find when you put this on is that this bit here, it doesn't sit as tightly on your ankle. It tends to have a bit of space in there. You don't feel as if the boot's loose or anything because it does give you good heel lockdown, but it just feels like this bit here is like an extra thing that you don't really need. And then the other thing is this heel tab here, I find it too high. For me, again, I like it nice and tight around my ankle, so I find this bit too high, and the only purpose I can think of for having this heel bit really high is when you slip your boots on, you can hold on to this and slip it on. So this is the only thing I don't like with this boot, is that little area around the ankle. It does tend to curl in a little bit as well, so maybe that's what the issue is. And so for me personally, I think if they can maybe fix that a little bit and make it sort of stick to your ankle a lot more, then this boot will almost be perfect. And so overall, Skechers have actually done a really good job with the boot. It's lightweight, it's comfortable, it's sturdy, it's a good football boot. It's genuinely a good product, and I think that was the first thing they needed to tick off the list, is have a good product, because again, they're entering a very competitive market with football boots. They're going up against Nike and Adidas. You've got Puma and New Balance as well, who are really up there as well. And so having a good product is probably the most important thing for now. And then after that, it's all about the marketing, and which they've done really well so far. And so yeah, if you want to break away from the normal choice of boots of Nike, Adidas, Puma, New Balance, and you want to be different, you want to stand out, go for the Skechers. I definitely recommend it. And you can get the Skechers boots on our website, thebootperspective.com. You can get the SKX in both the firm ground and the soft ground versions as well. And we've also got the Razors on there as well. And so the next video, we will review the Razors. But let me know in the comments what you think about the Skechers boots. Would you try the Skechers boots if you haven't tried them yet? And if you have tried the Skechers boots, let me know what you think. I really want to know, do you like them? You know, how do they compare towards the previous boots that you're wearing if it was another brand like Nike, Adidas as well? But yeah, if you liked the video, make sure to leave a like and make sure to subscribe as well. And I'll catch you on the next video.